We are live. Hey everybody, Aaron Shimmons here for Trail Talk, back for another live. Great to see you. There's Pat joining the chat. How's it going, mate? Let us get Ricky into the room. First off, I'm going to shout out the sponsors before then. XMiles.co.uk, get your nutrition, link in the bio. Also started off a sponsorship with Tantrums for the race fests. There's a link in bio, but it's also Trail Talk 15 for 15% off at Tantrums. So check them out. But look, let's get Ricky into the room. I think he's having a cup of tea. There he is. How's it going?
I'm good. Cheers.
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 Tea and yours, coffee and mine.
hmm Decaf tea in mine. I'm going to bed. You're getting up.
Double caffeine. Let's go. Hey everybody, welcome to Trail Talk. Back for another week. I'm Aaron Shimmons. This is Ricky Wynn. We've got the news and the banter, and we also got your questions to answer that you submitted yesterday on Instagram, on WhatsApp, DMs, question box, all of those places. Let me just check the chat. People are streaming in. Ricky, let's kick it off. How's it feeling? How are you? You're just back to the grind, back to the day-to-day hustle after an amazing trip.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Back with a bang. Back with a bang. Literally. A bang of the hammer, I'll say, because like I'm straight back into my normal routine, which is roofing houses. And after a layup of like 30 days in America, not having to do that, I'm pretty beat up. I'm pretty tired. But I'm getting better every day. I'm getting stronger every day. I'm getting less, I don't know, tired every day. And I'm starting to get back into the swing of things, get back training. And then it's all systems go for the world champs in like 10 weeks' time, you know?
How long are you giving yourself to feel shit for?
Yeah, I gave myself all last week. Like I
Oh,
had
is
a
it over?
full-on pity party.
Is
And
it over?
it's not over completely. We'll say this week is kind of like still a little bit. I'd be nice to me and I won't push myself too hard and whatever I hit, I hit. I'm not like I don't have a number in mind for like volume training wise. I'm sort of like it is what it is. I'll go completely off feel and just if I feel like running 60K, I'll run 60K. If I feel like running 100K, I'll run 100K, but there's no pressure. And then from next week then it's back to business, back to business.
That's 60 or 100 in a week, just to clarify for everybody.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Not like the
What
lads
about
who,
you? What about you?
well, it's funny you say 60 or 100K because the lads I was running with on Saturday said, "Are you coming out next weekend? We're doing a road run." I'm like, "Oh yeah, long one? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Probably do about 60K." Like, what?
Yeah.
Well, that would absolutely destroy me. So I said, look, I'll maybe jump in after I've had my breakfast and maybe knock out 40
Mm.
with you, you know, 3.5 hours or whatever that may be. Uh, and that'll batter me. But sure, if I can take a battering, it's good for you.
Yeah, but I was really impressed with you and the two boys as well last week, because I spotted you ran 44K, 2,000 something meters of climbing in we in the Blue Mountains. Yeah, I think you were in the Blue Mountains. I was thinking, yeah, the man is, that was a big day. That's a big day, and again, a lot of traveling the last 2 weeks. A lot of even with me, that was like it was a decent run with me that you had, and then traveling and back. And then I was thinking, man's after running 44K, I need to up my game. That's what I was saying.
Inspiring Ricky Wen will take it.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah,
I wasn't planning to run 44K. I'm gonna blame Dan and Ben for making me run 44K. It was actually 43 something, but I ran around the car park to make it up to 44 because I thought that would look like 44 and 2200. That was like just a
yeah.
perfect combination of metrics. But look, it was actually a really cool route. Obviously, this was maybe the last 20 something K of Ultra Trail Australia, and we did an out and back on it to make up at that 44. So I got to see that part of the course
Yeah,
that I never
yeah.
made it to, which was good. But Ben is training for CCC, and Dan is just a savage and likes to get after it. So we had a good day, good crack, and I've always said to you in the past, like I like to be able to push it at the end of a long run because, or even at the end of a race, if you can get your heart rate up, okay, that's a good sign. You're in a good place. So we were near the end. I think it was like 5 or 6 Ks to go, and about 600. I think it was 5K and 600 meters to go, all uphill, all uphill between like 9 and 15% grade. And this guy can pass this pattern along. And I was like, I'm gonna pass that fucker. I'm gonna run every step of this climb back to the car just to test the fitness. And mate, it felt great. Legs felt good. I was definitely burning a few matches, but it was, 5.5, 5 and 3/4 hours in, and it felt good to do it. So look, the legs are good. The ankle didn't give me
Yeah.
any jip. The ankle's totally fine after the run. So we're back, baby. We're back.
Oh, as Poopy says, we're back. We're back.
We've got some news to talk about because that's what we do here. But we're not reading the results because that's boring as hell. So let's talk about some of the takeaways from some of the races. So Trail Verbier St Bernard by UTMB, or as we like to call it, the UTMB Verbier race,
Yeah.
because it's less of a mouthful. Every one of those courses from the 40 up to the 140 is an absolute gem of a route. Bemet Marmasol, previously second at Hardrock, absolute savage at the long distance. He took the winning course record in the 100-mile category. I thought that was interesting, but more interesting was Caroline Chevreau, who won the 78 6K extraverse, the 100K category. And that is a name that I haven't seen in ages because, like, going back 9 years ago, 2016, she won UTMB. So she's one of the UTMB legends, as they would refer to her now. And I think she had like red S or one of these, long-term chronic fatigue illnesses. And she just had a string of DNFs. Like she had since that UTMB win, I think she has like 4 DNFs at UTMB. Like she's got a more impressive DNF list than Pau Capel. But she came back and she won the race. She's a previous Hard Rock champion from 2017. So 2016, 2017, she was just slaying,
Yeah.
and then she just fell off. So really cool to see Caroline come back. What about those Verbier races? Would you fancy doing any of them?
I'd like to do that one. Like I like for me this weekend because there was other races going on. I wasn't really invested in, we'd say the 140K. I was more invested in the 76K because Tom Jolly was running it, and I'm a big fan of Tom, and I wanted to see how he got on in it. So that would be a race that I think I'd like to do. Yeah, yeah. It looks like it's got a bit of everything. It's got some fast trails, technical. If the weather's good, it's great. So yeah, it
And it
definitely would
usually
be a race
is.
that yeah. So and the time of the year as well, like it's not a bad time of the year for a race either. So I think it could definitely be a race I'd be up for doing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and like I think we're maybe aligned on it, like 76K at this point in the year, if you're gonna do something longer later in the summer. It's just like a nice distance. I forget what
yeah.
sort of time Tom ran in that.
9:30, nine
Okay.
thirty. Yeah,
And yeah, so
and
the winner
and
was
I
around
think
9.
9:08.
Okay.
Yeah, so something like that. Something like that.
So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's a solid effort. Not gonna not
yeah,
gonna kill you. Great weather, kind of easy to get to.
yeah,
So if anyone's thinking about doing one of those races, what I would recommend is stay on the Verbier side because the other side is full of livestock and there's a lot of flies. I think it's
yeah.
Baga, the other side. But so stay on the Verbier side, pay the extra money and sleep up there with the rich and famous, with the Bentley SUVs and things around Verbier. And then maybe one other thing to mention there, like Aurelian, uh, he won the men's race, previous Hard Rock champion. And
Yeah, he's a
also
beast.
shout out to our guy Yurik, fan of the pod, part of the WhatsApp and Trail Talk community. He was sitting in 10th and he DNF'd,
Mm,
and he was sitting where he wanted to sit too. Like he was sit back, let the big boys blow up, and when it thins out, still be able to push later on in the race. So hard luck to Yurik, but you know, you only
yeah.
win or you only come back stronger from these types of things.
Did Did you find out from him what exactly went wrong? Did you find out what went wrong? Because I know that, like, it looked very much like he was running the perfect race, and it was like he had like got his tactics right, and he was making moves at all the right times. Because I think he could have had a really strong finish, like really strong finish, and then all of a sudden it just he started feeling nauseous and running a high temperature or something, and felt like he was going to pass out.
Yeah, he hasn't got it he hasn't got it checked out or shared that at this stage, but it's so close, we're only a few days
Mm,
past the race, so we'll hear from him. Other takeaway, Scotty Hawker on the
yeah,
road back to CCC, and oh boy, it is a long road. 117th in the marathon, the 50K category, in seven, no, what was it, 6:44 for Scotty. Now, I want to put this into
yeah.
perspective. It was because, when your moment of fame is there, you have to take it with both hands. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm doing here. This is my moment to step on someone's back when they're down for the purposes of banter. But 2 hours 15 off the win, right? And you would say Scotty normally probably would have been a top 10, top 15 finisher at that distance,
Mm.
a couple of years ago. He was only 17 minutes off my time in 2013 at that race. And, of course I was rocking 5 minute gaps. Like I had a decent day, but I did finish that race needing a poo that really hampered my last hour of the race.
Yeah.
But he's he's on the road back to recovery. It's a long road, and we wish him well.
Yeah, but also, also what does need to be said is like I admire the fact that he knows he's not in great shape. He knows he's got a long road back. He knows. Like I watched his last YouTube video had out last week, and he was very honest and transparent about like he thought he'd be much further on in the recovery. Now I'm not 100% sure what is the issue and what happened, Scotty, to make him sort of like fall so far from grace, right? But he is coming back and he is trying, and like it is tough for an elite athlete like Scotty to enter a race like that and know that you could have a really shit result like that, and it can knock your confidence for six. But I mean, he knows where he is, he knows where he needs to be, and he knows what he has to do. So look, I wish him well, and I hope that the recovery keeps going the way he wants it to go. I hope it speeds up a little more for him because I know that he is doing UTMB. Like that is the plan. The plan is run UTMB. So like the clock is ticking, right? The clock is
Yeah,
ticking.
yeah, he's running CCC.
Oh, see, sorry, yeah.
So yeah, not just as long, but I can't imagine him being in any sort of top 10 shape coming from this point.
Mm.
But we don't do this for a season. You know, if you get if you get knocked back through injury, through whatever, if it takes a year, if it takes 2 years, you know, it is what it is. Sure,
Yeah.
we see this from all of the top athletes. What about Abby Hall? Like
Mm.
she had 2+ years of disaster and come back to win Western States. So this is a lifestyle sport, not just a job.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's to be admired as well. It's like they're willing to like I know it's their job and they're pro athletes whatever, but at the same time when you are injured it's a pretty shit place to be, and your mind can be in an awful place, but they're still willing to put in the work and show up and try and get back to where they were. So like, you always have to tip your hat to someone that's willing to put the effort in.
Yeah. Scotty Hawker, he's got to keep showing up, Ricky, right?
Just keep showing up, Scotty. You know the drill, man. You know the drill.
Send send them hammer emojis.
Yeah, yeah,
Then what about Hard Rock? Ludo, the guy's older than me. What a
yeah.
legend.
Uh,
A true hard rocker now, one in both directions, and like not even challenged.
Yeah, not even challenged. Not even challenged. Like you couldn't. I don't know. You couldn't have wrote that. Like I did. For me, right? I didn't do fantasy free trail because it got away from me. But I was tuned in. I was tuned into the live stream. I was tuned into everything that was happening around Hard Rock, and I was kind of invested in it for the whole weekend. And I expected Ludo to maybe finish third because I just thought there was stronger, younger, fitter, faster guys in the race that were gonna like, put him in third position. And but it didn't happen. And he led from the gun, man. He was so strong, like from start to finish. Like I'm guessing he was probably going for that 20-hour finish, and maybe he just slowed down a bit. Whereas he felt like I've enough done. I can get to the finish without killing myself. Maybe the time is gone, but I have it in the bag. Super impressive. 49 years of age. Like it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if you caught the I Run Far post-race interview, but he was saying that he felt like he was just stronger descending
Yeah.
than the others, and that's also where he wanted to push. Whereas others were, you know what it's like running a miler in the mountains. There is a self-preservation element to it, but Ludo felt like he could push harder on the descents and still had confidence that he could uh, get to the finish and finish strong. And I think I don't know if you noticed this from live stream. I didn't watch a lot of the live stream because I was busy uh, doing 44Ks in the Blue Mountains,
Mm.
but he was using his poles to descend.
Yeah. I saw, I actually saw clips of him, like whether there were people filming him or on maybe it was on Instagram or something like. But I did see clips of him descending, and he was sending it. He was sending it. He was hammering down hills, like because I also seen clips of Jermaine and Zach, and they definitely were not moving as fast as he was moving downhill. He was running downhill like it was a 50K.
Yeah, he was moving so well. And then what about Katie? She's won, set the overall and the directional course record. I think was it 17 minutes faster than Courtney's course record time. So, I mean, give me your thoughts on that. But also, I want to throw it out there, like where where is Katie versus Courtney at this
Mm.
point? Because Katie keeps improving and closing the gap. She closed the gap to the point that it's now competitive between them.
Oh, it has to be. It has to be. But also on the live stream, I managed to whatever way it worked out, whatever way the timings worked out. I always managed to catch Katie coming in or leaving an aid station. When she was coming into aid station, she wasn't in a panic. She was taking her time. She was making sure that she got everything she needed, and she was leaving, and she was giving high fives and patting people on the shoulders and taking compliments from people. There was no sort of like stress on her. There was no pressure coming from her. She looked very in control, which means that she probably could have even ran faster, if you know what I mean. Like she was so in control of that race. So my takeaway from that was now she can run super fast at something like Western States where it's runnable. And people would have said, okay, she's the better runner than Courtney, but Courtney's the better mountain athlete. The question has to be asked, is Katie now as good, if not a little, if not better than Courtney in the mountains now? So now we need the race to happen, that the two of them line up together at UTMB and go head to head and see what happens.
When do you think that could happen?
Like obviously you want it to happen as soon as possible because she's in serious shape. Like so, uh, if it's UTMB, then it can't happen until next year, right? It can't happen until 2026. But I'd love to see the two of them go head to head in something else, like maybe like Killian and Jim and Chianti or Lavaredo or somewhere. I don't know. But I'd love to see it happen soon because Katie is in such good form.
It has to happen at at the miler distance, and maybe a good spot if it wasn't UTMB would be the Grand Raid on
Yeah.
Reunion Island in September. But also like, you know, this year's kind of a wash with the
Mm.
world champs, which is, you know, good and bad. It just doesn't, it takes away one opportunity for us to see competition at UTMB. What do you think? Like, I know what you're saying there about mountain athlete, running athlete, that type of thing, but I th actually think Katie is more suited to the mountainous ultra trail than Courtney would be. Whereas Courtney, I just think has like a really massive aerobic base
Mm.
and runs with kind of joy and carefree and knows how to suffer. Whereas Katie feels like she's you know, the ultimate professional, and she's got there because she's ticking all of the boxes, doing what Coop says, on top of a base that's gifted.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But we'll say, I think if Katie is looking at it from, let's say, the Coop side of things, then they're chasing records, they're chasing times, and they're chasing course records. And Katie seems to be very good at like that kind of thing where she needs to like get it down, get it perfect, and chase that time, chase that record. Yes, whereas in Courtney is more like, yeah, sure, we'll see what happens. And I think then because Courtney races like that, the professional side in Katie will eventually like beat Courtney. I just think it will. Like I know you can run with joy in your heart and all that, but sometimes if the slightly more professional outlook is the faster, more efficient outlook, if you know what I mean.
So we've got it on record. You think that at some point Katie is going to
Yeah.
overtake Courtney? Yeah, I think
Yeah, I really think so. I really think so. Yeah.
I can see like the gap is definitely closing between the two, and I wouldn't say you're wrong. I would say I can see what you're saying for
Mm.
sure. What I
But
wanted, go.
yeah, yeah, but like what I see in the two of them is I see Courtney. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Courtney fan. She's deadly, like she's unreal. But I just think that Katie's better. She's a better athlete than Courtney. She's a better professional. She probably like invests a hell of a lot more time into her training and everything like that. But I think naturally she's a better athlete than Courtney is. So I think it is only a matter of time before she becomes the queen. Like I really think so. Yeah.
Interesting. One other observation I kind of have after Katie won at Hard Rock, I saw a raft of stories going up online from other professional elite women, Courtney included, lifting her up. Well done, Katie. Amazing. Blah, blah, blah. Across the board.
Mm,
How different is that to the men? The men are like sharks. Could you ever imagine Jim putting a story up congratulating Killian on a Hard Rock win? It just like it's polar opposites. The women
mm,
are very supportive of the even of their competitors, which is just, I mean, it's nice to see, but there's no way the guys would ever be like that. What's
no.
your take on that part?
Yeah, but I think that's it. Like we could probably pivot into the other issue at Hard Rock this year was the guy in the stupid t-shirt, right? And it is like that sort of like, whereas in the women, we're here for the women's race, but I mean, the women really do stick together. And then like I was lucky enough to run with some unreal women in Western States, and like I'm telling you, like they are that supportive. They are that like I don't know, there's something totally genuine about them when they are talking about that. Like they're not just saying, "Oh yeah, well done," kudos to you and hats off, and not really mean it. They genuinely mean it. Like I was literally running behind Emily Hawgood, and she was asking me, was I drinking, was I eating, was I making sure I was getting ice? She was like a mum to me, and like she genuinely meant it, and it was so refreshing to see that and hear that. So I genuinely think that they are very supportive of each other. Now I'm sure there's bits of them that, the competitive side of them, that like they want to win. If Courtney is racing Katie, she's going to want to win, right? But it is very, very nice to see that they're all supporting each other. They want the women's side of the sport to grow more than anything, more than their own results, if you know what I mean.
Do you think, if you think about how this running with joy, running with happiness seems to be a superpower in ultra running, like it's a secret ingredient, do you think that that means that the women have more potential to get the most out of themselves than the guys? Because the ego
Mm,
doesn't lead you down that road, and the guys race with ego. It leads you down the shit or bust, best result or DNF,
mm.
whereas the women might be able to just extract every part out of themselves because, you know, as Andy Glaze says, smile or you're doing it wrong. The smile, the laughter, the humor is a superpower.
Oh, definitely. Like, it is. It's 100%. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, you're not going to do it very well or for very long either. Like you're going to burn out at some stage. They've found that joy in what they're doing, in pushing the limits, but they found a joy. And then what it also gets is a consistency out of them as well. Whereas in those same women that are that positive are usually always up there in races. They're always very, very close to that podium. Or let's say if it's a Western States, they're always in around that top 10, if not in that top 10. So they're very consistent. Even in UTMB, you'll see those same women. They'll be in that top 10 in UTMB this year again. And it is to do with that, like, sort of like smile and be positive. And then you're tricking yourself. You're fooling yourself into thinking that, okay, I'm in pain, but I mean, this is where I want to be. There's nowhere else I want to be. There's nothing else I want to do.
Yeah, totally. Look, let's move on a little bit because time is moving on. If you're tuned in, thank you for sticking with us on Instagram Live. If you can't, you can catch up later on today, um, or tomorrow, depending on what time zone you're in, on Instagram. You can replay there. You can do Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you want. Also, shout out to XMiles and Tantrums, our sponsors. Links in the bio for 10 and 15%. Definitely check out the Tantrums vest. Everybody wants one. Once you know about them, you're going to want one too. The best packs in the game right now, 6 liter, look fire. Everybody wants one. Any pro that's not sponsored is wearing Tantrums.
That
That
so
says it
true.
all.
Like, yeah, like I seen it everywhere in America, and it's popping up all over the place on Instagram. And these lads aren't getting paid to wear it. They're wearing it because it's working. They're wearing it because it's working.
100%. So look, what the fuck was Coop doing with that red beret on at Hard Rock? Let's not spend too long on this, but I need to know, what does this beret mean? I've seen him in this beret before. What is he doing? I'm going to stick a picture of this in the broadcast channel, the News and Banter broadcast channel on Instagram. Check it out. I'll stick a picture in after the show. Please let me know what Coop is doing. Have you any idea?
No idea. Absolutely no idea. It's the most random thing I've ever seen. It's like, I don't get this. Like, unless he had like, is he coaching all the French athletes in the race or something? I don't know. Like.
It looked like he was standing behind Ludo at an aid station at his crew point, and he was the only non-French person there, but he looked the most French.
Well,
Even in the foreground of the image, there's a bottle of red wine. What is going on?
yeah, we need answers. We need answers.
We're
Yeah.
gonna figure this out. So let us know. I'm also will report back and let you know what we hear. Moving on, Zach Miller. This is a question that came in on the question box, so I thought we'll throw it into the Hard Rock segment. Like, what do we think of Zach Miller's performance? Did he have, was that his potential there? What are your thoughts around Zach? And then let's pivot also into his crew and the
Mm,
absolute not funny t-shirt.
yeah. Um, Again, going back to his interview on Free Trail, and I'm sure he had same interviews with maybe I Run Far as well, but Dylan Bowman was asking him how he was, and that he was after his DNF last year, or his DNS, sorry, his DNS last year did not start because of his appendicitis. I think it was his appendix last year,
Yeah,
and then it just came around what happened this year, and then he came out with like that his knee was at him, and he got this really bad knee pain, and then he had to go and get some stuff done with that, and a little bit of me after listening to that, like, because it was a bit kind of deep, and there was you could really feel like what he was trying to get across, and what I took from that interview was that maybe he doesn't believe he is the athlete he once was, and that he maybe thinks that you know his time in the sport pushing the limits that he has been pushing is coming to an end. Whereas that's kind of the vibe I got off him. It was like the first time I've ever seen him look vulnerable, if you know what I mean. He looked vulnerable to me, and it was like that. Now he did go on to say that his knee felt a lot better, and then when he was training in the San Juans and he was going up and going down, he wasn't having any real issues in the thing. But I mean, for him to come fifth in that race, only ahead. I mean, literally like a minute ahead of Katie, and he had to sprint finish just to make sure that she didn't pass him on that final stretch into the hard rock itself. Like I was kind of, I don't know, I was nearly upset that he only finished fifth. I was like, is that it? Like, I expected so much more from him, because I am a massive Zach Miller fan. I love Zach Miller, but is that it? Has he pushed the limit for so many years? Because Zach is one of those guys that goes all in. It's all or nothing. And it, is that the last we'll see of the best of Zach Miller? I suppose that's kind of what I'm trying to say.
okay, that's interesting. I did not listen to the Free Trail interview
Mm,
because also one of the other things I was going to mention is just the total saturation of interviews, repeat interviews from the whole Hard Rock thing. So I watched the first interviews that came out, which were uh, Iron Far and some of the Mountain Outpost. And I watched the Mountain Outpost interview with Zach. And maybe you maybe don't know this, but he was crying in the interview.
yeah,
So they brought up Bill Duper, who was like the super fan, and like Zach carried a picture of Bill around the Hard Rock course,
that's
and it
right.
brought
Yeah,
it brought him to tears in the interview, and I was like, wow, like that's an emotional place to get there on live TV essentially. But yeah, I think Zach has a lot more still to give, and I hope that we see it. But
yeah,
yeah, good point. You can't burn the matches all day, every day, year on year, and expect them to never run out. So let's see.
yeah. Look,
This
look.
this this
Again,
sport.
fingers across for him. You know what I mean? Because like he's a legend. Like, and I don't know too many people that don't like Zach Miller in this sport. I think he's great for the sport. I love the way he wears his heart in his sleeve. You know what I mean? He's everything I want someone to think I was. If you know what I mean? I'd love everyone to think that he left it all out there. He gave everything he could, because I think that's what Zach Miller does at every race. He leaves nothing out there, like.
So what about his crew? One of the guys, he had a Here for the Women's Race t-shirt on, and he had blocked out the part of women's race to make it men's race. And this caused uproar, controversy, internet warriors everywhere,
Mm.
not happy. And I think most right-minded people, myself included, thought, well, that's a bit of a douche move. But
Yeah.
obviously, this is the internet. There's no context. The context is based on what's in your head when you see the image, when you see the video. And so we all just assumed, we're seeing it at face value, and at face value, it's a bad look. But the guy posted up on Reddit and sort of explained, look, I'm friends with Hillary Allen, who is one of the founders or Hillary Ann Yang, who's one of the founders of the movement. It was just a joke. It meant I'm here to support Zach's race. And of course, I was like, well, it would look way better if you put Zach over that t-shirt. People would have got that joke better. But douche move, I think it's cleared up.
Yeah.
Internet warriors can stand down. What do you think?
Yeah, look, because we know now, right? Because we both know the context that it was meant in, that it was only a bit of fun, and it was a guy that is well known with with some of the great female athletes that were there, and they even got the joke. I believe they got the joke, But for anyone that wasn't aware of that or didn't know the context that that was in, it did look shit. It did look like a douche move. You're right, wiping out woe in women and saying I'm here for the men's race, kind of like saying, it's like when you have World Women's Day or something, is yeah, but what about World Man's Day? It's kind of that, you know what I mean? It's Mother's Day, yeah, but what about Father's Day? It's like, look, relax, it's not about that. But because we now know that it was slightly blown out of proportion, that's the internet, that's keyboard warriors, that's this, that, and the other. But I mean, I think it was a bit of crack, blown way out of proportion, and now we know that. Look, maybe the next time put up, "I'm here for Zach. I'm here for Zach." Put something like that.
It was a
Yeah,
badly thought out joke that maybe a friend could have said, maybe don't do that. That's in poor taste. And I
yeah,
get what you're saying, like here for, Men's Day or whatever. I think maybe that the main one people would identify with is Black Lives Matter. No, all lives matter. They're
yeah.
missing the point. Of course, all lives matter, but what about the underrepresented lives? That's the whole point of it.
e-
So
Exactly, exactly. You said it. You said it way better than me there. Yeah, exactly. That was a better metaphor for it. Yeah, way better.
so let's move on from that. Panic over,
If
keyboards
if if
down.
ever I do something stupid like that, I expect you to rein me in on that. You know what I mean? Like that's what mates do, right? I think that guy. It's not all his fault. His mates saw what he was doing. They should have pulled him up on it too. Maybe don't do
Yeah,
that. Maybe don't do that.
that's not funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
If you ever tell me a shit joke, believe me, I'll keep you in check. I'll be like, Ricky, it's not funny, mate. Sorry. Don't say that to anybody else.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, we're off Hard Rock. One of the other big news stories, massive news stories, Caleb Olson and
mm,
winner of states, winner of Trans Gran Canaria, nearly got it out, coached by Jack Kunzel, legend in the
yeah.
FKT world. They've parted ways. Let me read this if I can manage. I really appreciate all that he's done for me, and I think that we both learned a lot from our time together. I'm going to be trying something different going forward, either on my own or with the help of a different set of experts. And the current plan is to find a healthy middle ground between structured training and my old, more fun ways. That's from Caleb Olson. So that's a bit of a bombshell. I mean, what do you make of that?
Yeah, but we go back to talking about athletes that run with joy, and I do always say that, like, I don't have a coach, right? And my reason behind that is, like, if I had somebody telling me what to do every single day of the week, I feel like then my training would become more of a job than something that I love doing. and it'd take the fun out of it for me. And if it wasn't fun, then I wouldn't enjoy doing it. And I think maybe Caleb has come to that where Jack has got him exactly where he needed to be or wanted to be, but at the expense of maybe his love for the sport. And he probably like was kind of like, yeah, okay, I've won Western States, I've won this, I've done that, but I don't have the love for it as much as I had. And I'm winning now, but I don't have the love like I had a year or two ago or whatever. So I can totally relate to him wanting to do his own thing and maybe get that love back, and then maybe find a coach that can understand that as well. Like, so I definitely understand it. Yeah.
Do you think it's maybe too early to make that decision? Like, if I'm thinking about what date is it? It's the 16th of July. He's probably got another couple of weeks before he would have to pay Jack again, another $500 or more than that maybe for another month of coaching. And I just feel like in the few weeks post a miler, where you've really gone deep into the well to gut out a fantastic result or any result really, the motivation is low to get back after it. And maybe I would personally sleep on it for a little longer. What's your thoughts on that part?
But he could have slept on that. He could have slept on that for many's a night leading up to that race, and he could have said to his wife or his partner or his dad or whatever, his best friend, and say, I'm telling you, after Western States, that's it. I'm done because I've put this much into it and I can't give any more. I've given all I can get. Whether I win or I blow up trying to win, that's it. I'm out. And I think that decision was made a long time ago.
Yeah, look, that's a great point. One that I didn't even think of. But if I put it into my own context, before I parted ways with my coach, which was 3 weeks before Ultra Trail Australia, right at the kind of the taper, I had been thinking about it for months.
Mm,
Like I know start like breaking up with a coach at the taper is probably the worst thing you could do. You're throwing a like an unknown into already a weird period of the training block. But I had been thinking about it for months. So yeah, maybe he was thinking about it the whole time, like this isn't sustainable. I'm not enjoying this. I don't like this structure, this answering to somebody or whatever. So that's an interesting point. But he did go through the block with Jack. They did incorporate a lot of strength training and things like this, which have improved his potential and his game. And he's going to take that forward. And whether he does it himself or, with other experts, as he said, he's better off because of the block, regardless of where he goes next.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like you wouldn't know what his plans are for the rest of this year. Like I haven't seen if he's doing anything soon or if he's doing anything at all for the rest of this year. He could sit on that win and I wouldn't bat an eyelid if he didn't race again this year. That to get to that position and to get yourself in a position to win that race, it takes everything. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't race again this year.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good point. I'm not actually sure what he has on the cards. Let's move on from that. We had viewer questions submitted, and there's a real mix. And some of them we can go deep on, and some of them we don't have to go deep on. But maybe I'll start off with a gear one that was asked about the rocker, the shoe from Satisfy, which I have
Mm.
sitting here in its little sock. Look at that. Isn't that cute? It
And
comes in
it's
its
little
own little
sleeping
sock.
bag. It's little
You've
sleeping bag.
you've seen the shoe bag, which the Norda shoes come in two into one bag. We see that with Nike Alpha Flies. They come with a bag. You get a bag with the Mount Coast shoes. I'm sure numerous others. Satisfy are like, how can we do the bag thing? Because we like the idea of it, but how do we do it our way? Like there's little
Mm.
pull thing for your carabiner so you can stick it onto the bag the back of your pack. I mean, what I think of this shoe, I think it's great. I wore it on Saturday for the long run. The foam is really consistent. It's actually a really nice feeling shoe descending. There's lovely padding around the heel. And even though you might be a forefoot or midfoot runner, you tend to use a bit more heel when you're descending, especially in a like an easy run where you're trying to like take it easy. So I feel like the way the foam works under the foot on descending is really good. It's got like a funny pattern on the
Yeah.
outsole, which I'm not sure how it was going to work, but it actually works well. No complaints about it. And I also like all of the runs I do are road to trail. Like even in the Blue Mountains, you're doing a little bit of road to get to it, and some of the trail is fire trail. There's a whole mix. I don't see any wear in that tread, and I've had people reach out to me on YouTube and comments of previous shows saying I've run 300 miles, 500K in this shoe, and I'm not seeing any wear. So I've only done about, I don't know, 60 miles in that shoe at the moment, and it's wearing really well. One of the things I like about it more than any other shoe is the lock over the forefoot. So like over the top of the bridge of the foot, the lock is really good. It gives you so much confidence descending. The only thing I wish is it was the weight of the Norda 005. That's
Yeah.
what sets them apart. Like the 005, if I was to compare these two, because they're in that price bracket where they'll be compared regardless of the use case. The 005 is a race day shoe. I used it when I paced you at States.
Yeah.
It's light, it's grippy. The Vibram Omega Grip Elite is unreal. This is like the daily driver. And it's an expensive daily driver. But look, if it's going to do 1,000K or more, then it's still good value. Plus, you've got the vibes. What do you think of the rocker?
Yeah, and look, the reason I like this review about it is because I know you ran 40K, 44K in that shoe last weekend. So, like, do you know what I mean? People will go on about doing a shoe review and saying, "Oh, what I think about this," and they've like 10 miles in the shoe. That we don't do shoe reviews with 10 miles. It's got to be a long run, you know. And so you have it. In fairness, you have 100K, and then you're not seeing any wear and tear on them. So that's great. So that okay, the price point. People are always going to talk about the price point, but if you are like the Norda, if you are getting like 1,000 kilometers or 1,200 kilometers, which I think is insane that you can get that distance out of a shoe. Like I know there will be an odd person here that might say, "Oh, I think I can get 2,000 kilometers that much." Maybe you can, but you probably shouldn't be doing that in that shoe. You know, you shouldn't be doing that because, like, for me, I'm like going, I'll get 1,000 kilometers out of a shoe and I will change that shoe. And I will always kind of go, yeah, I just feel like it's lost its pop and I'm not running that shoe anymore because I don't want to risk an injury. Whereas in those newer shoes, those shoes like from Northern, I'm guessing this one from Satisfy as well. If you get to 1,000 kilometers in that shoe and it's still got a bit of snap and you still feel like it's got a lot of shoe to give you, then it's worth the money. Like it's worth the money all day long.
If you're doing like 6 hours and at the end of the run, you can still feel squish and rebound, that is not something you can say about every shoe. Like it's
No.
not like if I think about some of the other shoes, I'll name none in particular. Like it could be a multitude of shoes. After a couple of hours, sometimes it just feels like the foot is dead when it hits the ground and there's no pop. And that's one of the reasons why people like to change shoes in an ultra just to get that fresher feel. So happy so far with that shoe, and I will do a full review.
Mm,
I want to do more. I would say I would want, I don't like to go by distance or by vert. I just want to get more time in the shoe.
yeah.
Like I haven't worn it in a workout. I want to see how that feels in a workout. So that's another box I'd want to tick.
And you made a good point there as well about like the how the foam feels after like 6 hours, after 5 hours, because a lot of the shoes we run in nowadays, and this is all brands, a lot of the shoes we run in nowadays, This is why you do a shoe rotation. This is why you rotate your shoes, that you don't run in the same shoe every single day. So if you run for like 2 or 3 days in a row in the same shoe, that foam will actually go dead, and it'll take a while for that foam to come back to the way it was. So it actually needs a break. It needs a break. Yeah. Yeah.
Not much wear in that. Anyone that is not on the video, we're talking about the Satisfy the Rocker, which is 260 US dollars and out at some point this month. I think it was meant to be out already, but they haven't released it at this stage, and I haven't been told when. So, look, let's move on from that. But review, more information incoming. Ricky, next question from the viewers. Did you get a ticket for Oasis?
No, I didn't. No.
Why not?
Oasis. No, I didn't get a ticket for Oasis. I wasn't looking for a ticket for Oasis. Like, I like Oasis. I do. Like, if they're on in the car, I listen to them. But I mean, I swear, I'm terrible. I don't go to concerts. I hate concerts. If there was like, if Oasis were out in the back garden behind me, I probably wouldn't go and watch them. Hey, I'm terrible. I'm terrible. Did
And
you? Did you get tickets?
I didn't, and I didn't try, but my wife, Sarah, tried to get tickets, and she was in the queue for hours trying to get tickets whenever they come out, went up for sale a while back, months and months ago. And honestly, I was like so thankful that she didn't get tickets because I would have had to go to the gig.
Mm.
And I don't like really concerts either. I haven't been to one in a while, but I would rather go to a small concert. Like if I think of some like a Morrissey gig or something, it's hundreds, not thousands. You're not having to, do
Yeah,
mad
it's not a packed
public
out football
transport.
stadium. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
not my deal at all. If I'm going to a football stadium, I want to be listening to techno.
Yeah.
Right, look, that's the random question. The show is probably coming up to the hour. We're gonna crack in with a few more of these questions. If you can't stick around on Instagram, catch up on the pod players. You'll get it very soon. Ricky, a couple of really cool questions I was asked uh, on the Instagram boxes, right? Why are trail running communities often filled with such kind, grounded people? And like, let's not assume that that is the case.
Mm.
Answer the question. What do you think of that?
I think that it's a cool observation that, like, the known thing now is like unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, but road runners are kind of the douchebags and trail runners are the sound people. They just are, and it's the way it is. Like, it's like anyone that I've ever spoke to, because I don't do that much on the road. I still enjoy the roads, but I'm not I don't do many big like sort of like marathons or anything like that. So I haven't seen that whole side of the thing where you find out if the road runners are douchebags. But I have heard from a lot of people that they are, Whereas I've never heard that on the trails. Anyone that ever talks to me about trails is like, they talk about how sound everybody is, how helpful everybody is, how good they are, like how community spirit driven they are. Like, so it's just a fact. Maybe it's just science. I don't know.
So you think it's true. This is your personal observation. You agree with this statement, this question.
Oh, 100%, yeah, 100%, yeah. Like, y- since I got into the sport, like I have made, I don't know how many friends. Like, I've made hundreds of friends. Yeah, exactly. Like, I've made hundreds of friends through trail running, through nothing else like that, just through trail running, like, and I make friends every day, every race I go to, and you actually do make I will say a proper connection with that person. Like, it's not just, I met that person once and I never spoke to them again. I've met them, I've talked to them, I've messaged them. There's something about it.
That is the beauty of trail, and I think even more so ultra running
Mm.
is the connection that you can make with people because you're not just simply focusing on running as hard as you can for 30 minutes, an hour. 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever it is. Like maybe if you're running a 5 hour marathon and it's, you're having crack with people in that same band of time, maybe you can make those connections too. I'm not quite sure, but it is something special that you do seem to find in trail running. But it's not like we're all running on the roads anyway, so it's not about where you run, it's how you identify.
Yeah, but there's something very different about the two sports too, because like road running, if you're training for the marathon, you're a slave to the watch. You're a slave to that watch. You're a slave to time. So everything is about time. So if you have a 5K and it's quicker than your mate's 5K, you think you're better than your mate. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of it's ego driven more so on the road, I think, because of the time and the watch. Whereas in ultra running is different because it's every race is different. Every race takes longer or shorter. You know what I mean? There's no exact, like, you can't measure an ultra in time. It's like distance, vert, everything comes into it. And it makes it, I don't know, more even for everybody else in the field. And then everybody is in that sort of pain cave, that suffer fest. And there's something about that I don't know that does make it a stronger connection than, let's say, running a 5K or a 10K or even a marathon. I just think there's a stronger connection there.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the guys I went running with on Saturday, that was 44 Ks. But for me, that was like a 50K effort because it was six hours, just over 6 hours, which is longer, like way longer than what I would have run it if it was a 50K race.
Mm.
But it was 50K of an effort. And those guys that I was out with, do you know how I met them?
How?
So when I DNF'd at Ultra Trail Australia, I was sitting at the medical, in the chair. It wasn't a tent, medical chair, and I had my foot in a bucket of ice, trying to get the swelling down so they could tape it up. I hadn't DNF'd at this point, and there was this guy come in, and he was wearing the red Norda from the last capsule that was
Oh,
released, and I was
nice.
like,
Yeah.
ah, he got the ones that I wanted.
Yeah.
Right. So I clocked them, and then I saw, oh, these boys are wearing Satisfy, and there was two of them that were running together. I forget what shoes Ben was wearing, but Dan was wearing the Nordas, and then one of their crewmates, he had bleached blonde hair, and he looked like the bass guitarist out of Red Hot Chili Peppers. I'm like, these might be like these look like good guys. You like I can identify with something that's going on here. Fast forward 2.5 hours, I was waiting at aid station. These guys were in and out, and on they went. And I had then DNF'd, and the medical person said, I'll get you a lift back to the start. So she went and spoke to people that were crews. She actually went to that person's crew. I didn't know. And whenever the van pulled up, they had Satisfy stickers on the van and stuff. The guy with the bleached blonde hair, Jordan, he helped me get from the aid station to the car, and they dropped me back. And just the crack and the banter in the car, we ended up like exchanging details or whatever. And those two guys went on to finish the miler. And since I've been out running with him a couple of times, and we went out to the mountains, and I didn't even connect with those guys in the race. I
Yeah.
connected with their crew, and now I've got two running buddies in Sydney. So isn't it?
That's,
It's just that's the
yeah.
sport.
That's a really cool. That is a really cool story. Like, that's really cool. Yeah. And I'll tell you what's cooler, right? What's cooler is because you connected with them, they connected with me, right? So I got two new followers on Instagram, but one of them is a chippy. He's a carpenter,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah. So like we're sending each other pictures of our fucking nail banks and what hammer we have. And then he's saying, are you going to be in Chamonix? I says, I'm going to be in Chamonix. He says, we'll have to go for a run together. I says, definitely. And then he's like offering me, like I've never met the guy, but because we share that same love for the trails, and that connection through you. It's like, yeah, we'll meet up, we'll go for a run, we'll go for coffee. You can stay in my place. There's a free bed in my place if you want. This kind of crack. And like, you don't get that. You don't get that in many other sports. Like, you don't get that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's so cool. And I'd said to Ben that, oh, Ricky's a chippy too. So the next move is I'm gonna try and get you a job out here. We're getting you out of Leitrim. We're getting you over here.
Yeah.
Sunshine is
I tell
coming.
you, if it doesn't stop raining here, I'm on the way, lad. I'm on the way.
Right, next question, and we're going to bring it to a close fairly soon. Thoughts on US versus mandatory kit? Now, this is a conversation that was happening in the Trail Talk WhatsApp, and it actually started because I was chatting to a friend on Instagram that lives in um, Seattle area who's doing TDS, and she was complaining about the amount of kit, and I kind of summed it up that in America, the concept of kit is you're going out into the mountains. You might die if there's a storm. If you do die, rest in peace. God bless. We told you. It's on
Mm.
you. In Europe, the concept is there's probably going to be thunderstorms in the mountains. There's thousands of runners. We think you need this kit to survive. You also need this insurance because mountain rescue alone can't be lent on for thousands of runners. You need to carry an extra layer, an extra coat, waterproof gloves, a tracker, uh, you name it, all of these extra things. So that's the difference in kind of concept. What do you think about what's your comments on the kit question?
When I was reading these questions, my wife was asking me, "What are you talking about this evening?" And I went through the notes and I was saying, "This is what we're going to talking about." And then these are some of the questions we got asked. And when I went through that one question, like mandatory kit, US versus Euro, and Trina even said, "Should they don't you have mandatory kit in the US, do they?" And like that's Trina, that's not even involved in the sport or knows that a million things about the sport. She knows that in America they don't do mandatory kit. You can run in a pair of speedos if you want. Like, look, I'm all for. I love that kind of like the idea of running a race and not needing to carry all the mandatory gear. I love that because I like running with very little and it's a lot easier and it's freer and it's lighter. But it is definitely not safer. Like if you're in the mountains, you have to be smart enough to know there is bad weather coming. At any given chance, a thunderstorm can kick in. And we seen that. Even I got caught at Broken Arrow weekend. Out of nowhere, it started snowing, and then there was thunder and lightning. And I mean, the thunder and lightning was crazy. And then it was pelting down snow. And then the race got abandoned. Like, the race actually got abandoned. There was nobody on that mountain with a jacket. Nobody. I was the only one up on the mountain with a jacket. So I was able to actually get off the mountain and run down and get inside. Whereas everybody else was out there with no jacket. Like, so yeah, as much as I hate wearing all the gear, it's just common sense, really. Nobody wants to die.
Well said. Yeah, that's it. Like we know to look after ourselves anyway. I was obviously in the mountains that day too on a different route, and I got caught out, but I didn't take a waterproof jacket with me. I had a windbreaker, I had gloves, so I had something that allowed the, 30, 40 minutes or whatever it was to get off the
Mm.
mountain or out of the canyon in my instance. So we do love running light. It is nice to go out there and know, oh, I've just got a belt, I've just got to carry my nutrition, maybe a pair of gloves, and that's like a really freeing way to run. But also, you need to respect the mountains and be prepared. And it's kind of, some of those races in America, you can totally understand why there'd be no kit because there's not a chance of a storm coming in. And if there
Yeah.
was, they would know before the start of the race. So it's very different than racing in the Alps or the Pyrenees, where very often in the summer months you will experience a thunderstorm. And even though it might not hit exactly where you are in the mountain, it's happening somewhere.
Yeah.
Like that's just part of the heat accumulation through the day. Thunder and hail will come down, and I get caught too often in that type of shit. So I'm quite happy to carry the kit.
Yeah, but we'll say there is. I won't like America gets a bit of stick from us Euros, as in we say that they don't do anything when managers okay, but their races are a little bit different than ours, and let's say a lot different than ours. We'd say aid station wise, there's a hell of a lot more. Like I was at four races while I was in America, so like crewed for two, was at Broken Arrow, and then Western States. And I mean, there's no shortage of aid stations. Like they are stacked with aid stations. Would say we're like every 20% over this side. We're kind of like every 20% of the volume of the race. There's an aid station. So you could have like 20. You could have sometimes 16 miles or 20 or 30K between an aid station. You know what I mean? Something like that. Whereas in America, you might only have like 5 or 6 miles in between each aid station, So when they do it that way, then you don't really need to carry that much stuff because you're restocking on stuff every couple of miles, So in that way, yeah, they do have lots of volunteers. They do have lots of people out on the course that if you do get into trouble, there's probably a better chance for them to come and help you or get you out of there. You know what I mean? And there seems to be more access roads and stuff like that. Like even where I was in Reno and I was at races in Reno and it it didn't look like you were in the mountains because there was so many like dirt roads and there was so many little trails and everything. They just looked like hills and trucks and cars were able to drive on that stuff and get in. Whereas in somewhere like Chamonix or somewhere like that, the only way to get you off that mountain is a helicopter, So there's huge differences that way as well.
Yeah, yeah. And for the record, we absolutely love American trail and ultra running and the culture associated with that. We are 100% in.
Yeah.
And I think for everybody, I mean, it's worth saying that we should respect and cherish our cultural differences because that's uniquely us. And racing in Ireland and racing in France and racing in America is all different, but it's about what we love together. And we love the trails and then the mountains and ultra running and things like that. It's not about but they do it this way and we do it that way and our ways better because we've come to these points through the evolution of the sport in our countries. And if we were all the same, wouldn't it be fucking boring?
Ah, exactly. I'm all for it. I'm here for it all. I mean, I'm going to go to Chamonix and meet up with you in a couple of weeks, and that's going to be unbelievable. We just came from America and we did something over there that I thought was unbelievable. I'm here for it all.
Way.
Away.
Well, Ricky, I can't think of a better time to end the show. There's a big day here happening in Sydney. We'll tell you about it on another day. And I think from us, enjoy the rest of your week's running. We will be back next week at the prescribed time and date. And until then, happy running. Peace.
Peace.